So Swiss, man, thank you for joining us today, man. It's a great day all over the world, and I just want to start by first and foremost, as black men, something we don't do enough is check in on each other. So like, how are you doing today? How's your mental state? How's everything going?
Man, blessings, King, blessings. I'm blessed to say that my mental is doing okay. Although I'm a little disturbed of how the world is behaving, the U.S. Of what we're watching and witnessing. I'm a little disturbed, but I always try to keep a positive mentality, try to keep a positive outcome, and just think of ways and things of how I can add to the forward picture of progress. And so, just been real tight with my family, real tight with my friends, and just staying focused and being creative.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world these days, and we gotta keep our mental focused on the future and what's we gotta see what's going on right now and be in the moment, but focus on what's next as well. So, we have COVID-19 is still running rampant, and we still are fighting racism every day, among other things. But like, how do you find your creativity, and like more specifically, how did you find the creativity for something that's like as I'm culture shifting as verses.
Man, you know, I've always found inspiration through the darkness because we always been through trials and tribulations, but as creatives, it's our job to carve out peaceful zones. Versus is a peaceful zone. It's a celebrational, educational zone, and all parts of artistry is that as well. Whether you're a musician, whether you're a figurative painter, whether you're a videographer, whatever you are, like that's those mediums bring light to people, and I think that it's important for the creatives to put their heads down, or rather lift their heads up and come up with things that are taking people's pain away for that um, for those minutes or those hours that they're in front of them. And that's what made Versus so strong, was people can have an escape and a getaway from all of the news that they're watching, the things that they're seeing outside. They get to unplug and plug into the
Mhm.
positive energy. So I think that has been blessings.
Yeah. And you got speaking of like verses, you got a real big one tomorrow. I'm from Philly, so you got the Queen Patty LaBelle from Philly, and you got the Queen Gladys Knight. Like, talk about the importance of the education piece. And you said the education piece is a part of like the versus zone. Like this generation, they might not know a lot about Patty LaBelle and Gladys Knight, but they paved the way for these artists that they listen to now, and
Yeah,
they sample a lot of them. So like, how important is that education piece for verse?
it's really important because a lot of the youth today weren't privileged to listen to their music because they wasn't born.
Mm,
And a lot of people like to put age on music, but music is timeless. These artists, these queens are timeless. So I feel that their music should be in rotation just like new music should be in rotation. The same thing, with the success of what we just seen with Brandy and Monica.
crazy.
Them doing verses was a whole new rebirth for them, but it shouldn't have been. We should have still been rocking Brandy and Monica.
Yeah,
But what happens is we start moving so fast, and we start leaving back so many gems and so much jewelry in the treasure chest. Like, no, open up the treasure chest, because the information and the experience can teach the younger generation that's coming up. We all got to pull
yeah.
from something. So it's been an honor for myself and Tim to be able to pull Miss Gladys, Miss Patty out for this amazing event on my birthday. So that's like my gift to myself.
Oh, that's even better, man. Happy early birthday from the culture, of course. And
Thank you.
we are like big on social media these days, as you said. Things move at like the speed of technology, and things are moving kind of fast. And one of the things that I noticed in your Instagram bio, it reads "making history." So, what does that mean to you? Like, what does it mean to be making history?
I mean, I don't even want to do anything regular anymore in life. Not saying that I can't go to a bodega, or I can't just be regular, right? Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, I want to be very
yeah,
clear of what I'm talking about. I'm talking
yeah,
about creatively. I think that when you realize that you have the opportunity to change the world every day, you shouldn't be thinking regular. And
yeah,
if you can dream it, you can make it happen. Now, is it going to fall in your lap? No. Do you have to do your due diligence? Yes. Do you have to manifest? Yes. Do you have to educate yourself on it? Yes. And I just feel like I'm just addicted to like making history. I'm
yeah.
addicted to changing the world. I'm addicted to leaving something special for my kids, something special for the people that's outside looking in, looking for some hope, looking for a particular blueprint. And so when I wake up, I'm like, how can I make history today?
Speaking of like the blueprint, like you left quite a blueprint, man. Quite some, for these young producers, if they're trying to follow in your footsteps. Now, my stats might be off, but you had your first record on the radio at 16, right? Is that correct?
Yeah,
And you had
16
your
going to
first, and you had your first platinum record at like age 18. Like how important would you say it is for students to start now versus the when I grow up mentality?
Well, I think the more experience you have, the more longevity you can have, right?
Mm.
Um, but you got to allow yourself time to mess up as well. You got to allow yourself time to be great, and that's what I love about verses. It's like those artists that you've seen coming on verses. It took them time to be where they at.
Absolutely.
It took time to them to have 20 songs of classics that they can celebrate with another person to have 20 certified classics. That's a big,
Mm.
like 20 hits. That's a that's a
It's
lot,
not
man.
it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's a lot of people that you can't put that name on that board, and that's just 20. A lot of them got way more than 20.
Yeah.
So you just gotta always give that time for that time to give you the blessings back. So that's like very
Yeah.
important.
Billboard recently did a feature, a real dope feature on you and Timbaland and on verses. Shameless plug. I need one of those for Forbes of Culture too. We're gonna talk about that later. But where you talk about in this piece about the power of having a strong team and strong network. Like how important has that been to your career, networking and like having a strong team around you?
Well, we always need a strong team around us, no matter what, and we always need people that have the same energy. One thing that represents your team is the energy of your team, right?
Yeah.
So if you speak to anyone from my team, whether it's Grady, whether it's Snags, whether it's my lawyers, whether whoever, they're gonna have a certain type of energy that represent me, and that same type of energy represent them as well that I have. And the energy of your team is very important. And I feel like this is something new because me and Tim merged teams for verses. So you got different personalities, you got different energies, and it's all a balance. It's all a
Mm.
balance, right? And so you're only as good as your team. Like, and it's funny you say
Yeah,
that
that's a fact.
because right now I'm just expanding so much, and for my other businesses and different things I have going on. I just said, you know what? I just want the best people doing the best things. Don't cut no corners. Like, just go straight to the best people. It's just gonna save you a bunch of time. It might cost you a little bit more money, but like,
Hmm.
you're gonna waste so much money trying to save money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
man.
if you
Talent
look at
ain't
like,
cheap.
man, like, yeah, I got like 10 cheap people, but when I could have got like 2 certified people, that would have did the job of 20 cheap people, right? It's a
Hmm.
balance. So some things you can't cut no corners with, and your team you can't cut no corners with, and that's something that I always knew, but this year it means way more to me, because now, more than ever, I'm running my own businesses. Like, I merged out of these big corporations into making my own big corporation with a few people that I love.
Yeah, and you end up paying for it on the back end, and when you try to cut corners on the front end, that always come back to you later on. Like, man, I could have, yeah, like you said, I could have had two quality people, and I spent that money on 10 cheap people, and now I got to make up for that. One of the biggest messages that I want to get across, two messages. One is like the measure twice, cut once. Like, is think about it twice before you act, and then the other one is what I said, is the importance of starting now. So like, what does your like brainstorming process look like when creating a plan and getting started on a new idea, or or like bringing those ideas into fruition?
Well, I start with my journal. I start with my
Okay.
book, and I start with an idea. And before I even try to assemble a team for the idea, I have
Mhm.
to be excited about the idea. I almost have to see it won and already. Like I almost have to feel like,
Mhm.
oh, this is gonna win.
Yeah.
And then once I got that feeling, I start doing homework on who's my competition, what's my competition, what's the marketplace, you know, what's the market share, right? And the
Mhm.
reason why we say what's the market share is because let's say if you wanted to start a Q-tip company, right? It's like these Q-tips really clean your ears. I came up with this idea how to make a dope Q-tip, right?
Mhm.
Like, and you feel like that's going to get you up out of your situation. You feel like you're the only person that have it. You feel
Mhm.
like you out of here.
Yeah.
What you're
That.
not doing is what a lot of people don't do is they don't really look at the marketplace, right?
Mhm.
So your idea might be the best in the world, but it might be only 5% margin on the market share because Johnson and Johnson, this one, that one, they got hundreds of billions in that particular space,
Yeah.
right? So now go rethink your business. Is it worth me fighting for that 5%, which I might be 1% in that overall market?
Mhm.
Or do I got to think of something different because there's really no space for me no matter how good my plan is? Because if I'm not going to come in with, $1 billion plus to the table, I'm
Mhm.
never even going to get past the 5% market share, let alone the
Yeah.
10% market share. So, a lot of things I had ideas for, I had to take off the table because it was just not enough space,
Yeah.
and so we got to create our own spaces, because it's a big world out here and people been making money for a long time. And these
Long
corporations
time.
been owning these spaces for many years, so
Yeah.
to get in and to do
And they're
something
not just gonna
dynamic.
give it up.
No, they're not going to give it up. They're going to buy you up before they give it up. You could bet that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Or
Yeah.
block you from entering. how how important is like feedback to you? So we have like a whole bunch of different places that we can gather feedback from: Twitter and social media, or from friends and family, or from email, and all of this. We have like all these different spaces. But how important is like gathering feedback once you get to the idea stage?
Depends on the idea. Feedback is good and sometimes feedback is bad,
Hmm.
right? Because a lot of people, it's easier for people to give negative feedback, right? Especially if they don't
Yeah,
understand something. A lot of people don't. They rather diss something if they can't understand it instead of saying, you know what, I really didn't understand it. Can you explain that again? Instead, they'll say, I ain't messing with that. Why are you not messing with it? Because you don't understand it, right?
yeah,
So you can't really listen. You have to know what you have and give that time for that idea to come to fruition. And it's just like, you know, if I was to explain to people no commissions, my art fair,
yeah,
people kind of understood it, but they didn't really understand it. So, I had to tell people, I said, look, we have to give our culture, we have to have patience with our culture.
hmm
We have to have patience with them. And that's why putting on the shows and traveling around the world where people can touch, see, feel, hear, instead of just going straight to the technology side of it, No, let's get them a physical side of it where they can understand and you get to see the real proof of concept and not just running for
Yeah,
the money and the
catch up.
technology side. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the art piece. That's something that's very very unique. Like you have a very unique brand, and even in hip hop, from the artists you work with, or just in music across the board, but you're not just hip hop. For to your art collection, we might see you randomly, roller skating at home with a glass of wine. So like wealth, by the way. But how did you decide the proper way to brand Swizz Beatz overall?
I didn't really look at it as a, you know what, I'm gonna brand myself like this. What I
Mm,
did was I said to myself, I'm gonna only do things that I love.
okay.
And I'm gonna share things that I love with other people that might not have the access to those particular things like art, fashion, designing
Yeah,
cars, designing watches, all of those different mediums that we play with now. We're, designing, properties, which is the reason, waterfronts and different things like that, which is the reason why I'm in Saudi Arabia right now. Right.
yeah,
So I just I always wanted people to look at me, a guy from the Bronx, which AKA means no excuses. Right.
yeah.
And so I just always want
Absolutely.
people to look at me as like, man, you know what? Why can't I do this? Didn't Swiss do this? Why I can't do this? Didn't Swiss show do that? Why I can't try with this? Wasn't Swiss just there? But like I always would like to people to use my name as a reference point of hope and success and open minded, like and jump up out the box.
The even with things that are in the box, so to speak, and like out the box, your brand has always been like out of the box. And even just your personality is it comes across as like authentic, um, as opposed to some other celebrities that you see that doesn't necessarily seem like it's them. The importance of a powerful brand like yours is that it stands the test of time, right? Some trends remain, some will go. What do you think is going to be the same like after COVID versus things that are going to change based off of what's come out of COVID?
I think what's going to stay after COVID is originality, timelessness, good intentions, creativity, all of the basics, right?
Mm,
That's one thing that's people are going to always want is authenticity. They're always going to want quality, right? Now, what I hope is that people taking this time to become better people because we
mm,
need that more than anything, right? We need better us. We need better people. And it starts, we can easily point at somebody and say, oh, that person needs to be a better person. But I
yeah,
say we point at ourselves. We point at ourselves first. Like
absolutely.
let's become the best you can be. Look in the
Mm,
mirror and become that best role model. Be your own role model first, and then you can be another role model before we start pointing and talking about what this person ain't doing, what that person should be doing. What are
yeah,
you doing? Is the big question.
yeah,
And that's
mm,
what a lot of people got to start asking themselves. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can sit there and say what everybody's not doing, but what are you
mm,
doing? So
mm,
hopefully, more people will be doing what they should be doing. Forget after COVID. Start right now. Like, why we gotta
yeah,
wait till after COVID to do great things? Like, this is the
mm,
perfect time to do great things.
yeah, yeah. One of the things that you touched on is like what are you doing, right? So there's a lot of things going on right now, and people have often spoken about what celebrities are doing versus what they're not doing as it relates to like social justice and all these with the protests and these senseless police murders of black and brown people. Like what do you feel your role, or not just you personally, or the role of celebrity is when it comes to using your platform to bring light to these situations, or to bring darkness to it, even to show like that this is not okay and this is not something that we're going to continue to tolerate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really play with the celebrity word like that. I play with the human word
Okay.
more than the celebrity
Okay.
word. I feel like that's just me personally though. But like,
Mhm.
a lot of people use that word to make an elite something of something. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're all feeling the same pain. Uh, we're all watching the same. We're all going through the same trauma. Um, it could still be one of us, right? Like they're not picking it out like, oh, let's not do this to him because he's a celebrity. No, if you run in, you're gonna probably get the same thing because they know there's
Mhm.
not a big uh, list that they got to check before they do their silliness, right? So,
Yeah.
but I also feel that people who are artists that are more high profile, you know, a lot of them don't really know what to do,
Mhm.
right? Like, so we always saying that the artist should do this, the artist should do that, and they're basing that on a certain currency that that artist
Mhm.
has made during time. But that currency that artist made during time does not affect their mental, does not affect their education, does not affect their know how to engage or know how to intercept or know how to even educate,
Mhm.
right? So I know a lot of artists want to do things, but I know that they don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So therefore, they're quiet, right? And so that's the side that I see. But then I also see a lot of people, doing stuff, doing stuff the right way. Then I see a lot of other people doing stuff just to cap. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm not going. If I'm a protest, I'm not going to have my phone in the air talking about I'm protesting. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
be there, and if you happen to catch me, that's on you. But I'm there for a different reason. I'm not there to post that I'm there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Not
wouldn't
for
do it
caring.
like that. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, I'm not really a protesting type of a person.
Mhm.
Like my thing is more like, what's the solution? Who
Same.
who can we get with to actually change these different things? And I'm also not with the looting, of our own neighborhoods because the
Mhm.
people that have done what was wrong probably don't even live nowhere around there.
Mhm.
So that's my thing. It's like, what is that getting done? But I understand people frustrations, because they're my frustrations too. But I just would
Mhm.
choose to organize a little different, because we wake up that next morning, that's your pizza shop, that's your grocery store, that's your
Mhm.
clothes store. This is where you get the things for your kids. And the people that did the foolishness is 30 minutes, 40 minutes away from there. They don't even live there. So they definitely don't care. So that means we caught two L's. The L of the loss and the L of our neighborhood that we live in.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know.
One of the things that you brought up earlier, and you kind of like you kind of slid it in there, and you said it, and I ain't even react because I was like, that was very very Swiss of you. But you mentioned that you in Saudi Arabia and you're designing some type of waterfront, and with all that you're doing in these different areas, we don't often see black men in. But what does the world look like that you're working to create? Let's put a date on it, say by the year 2050 for your kids and for the next generation, because you're doing so many things in different areas.
hmm Like I said, I just want to just keep adding to that blueprint until it's purple, till it's the purple print, right? Like I want it to be a clear timeline to where that you could look all over the world and see some inspiration from a person that that started from nothing that you could relate to. Started, you know, in hip hop, which is like one of the heaviest titles to take anywhere around the world and be
Yeah,
taken serious, right?
yeah,
Which made me go back to school, which made me do different things because just because I come from hip hop, that don't mean that I'm not educated. That don't mean that I'm some type of animal because of some ways our peers choose to act and different things like
yeah,
that. There are good
yeah.
people in hip hop, and a lot of those guys that's putting on that role on them videos, they not even really like that. They actually
Not
good
at all.
guys too, but they just
Yeah,
trying to feed their family, and that's how unfortunately, that's how they got to market themselves at those particular times. I can't tell
yeah.
nobody how to hustle. I was a rough rider. I'm still a rough rider, but I started off
Mhm,
with that I don't give a F attitude,
mhm.
and but there's a difference, right? So you can start with that attitude, but you got to know when to graduate. You got
Yeah,
to know when to graduate your mentor. You got to know when to graduate your audience. You got to know when to graduate your surroundings. You got to know when to graduate and excel. You can't still. I would hate to be the Swiss that I was when I was 18.
yeah,
That means I've went nowhere. tomorrow I'll be 42, and I'm happy where I'm at 42. You know, alhamdulillah to that. But
Yeah.
just always being spontaneous and never um, letting people tell me what I can't do rather than showing them what I can do. Now I make some mistakes, this and that, but it's not a mistake if you learn from it. It's a lesson, and so um, yeah, man.
And you mentioned yourself at age 18. Are there any last words that you would give to the students while we are wrapping up, or that you would give to yourself at like age 18?
I would I wouldn't even give my 18-year-old self any advice other than do what you're doing. Because, although there's been a lot of different times I thought I wanted to take things back, I realized that those were lessons. And I realized those lessons have allowed me to walk this earth strong and travel this globe strong with confidence, with something that people can't buy. Common sense is very expensive. Common sense is very
Absolutely.
expensive. It's priceless, actually. I know billionaires without common sense, right? So I just, I'm riding with the good times and I'm riding with the bad times because that's the balance of life. Anybody tell you that life is all good, you better question that person, because
Yeah.
that's a person that's not being real with themselves and not being real with you,
Yeah.
right? And so the universe doesn't put anything in front of us that we can't handle. Now, how we handle it, that's on us. And so I try to handle every situation as much as possible, um, as rational as possible. And and that's why I never really was heavy on drugs and things like that, because I had a protocol in my family. My grandfather was an imam. My uncles that started Rough Riders, they never drank and smoked still to this day.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest movement, period. Right.
Mhm.
So stay to the next level, was discipline.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That,
I just encourage everybody watching this. I encourage everybody watching this to know that sky is not the limits, it's just the view. Why should the skies be your limits when it's footprints on the moon? And then I want you to also know that life begins after your comfort zone. It's easy to be comfortable, but step outside of your comfort zone so life can begin. You understand? Like we gotta look, all they're gonna do is say no. And what we do, we just try again. Dust your shoulders off and try again. Turn that no into a yes. Turn that yes into definitely. Turn that definitely into absolutely. You know,
yeah.
and
Absolutely.
let's stop playing victim as a culture. They
Yeah.
got me like this. They got me like that. Okay, forget all that. How you got yourself? Did you
Yeah.
read up on anything that you wanted to change? Did you look into anything that you wanted to change? Oh, you want a house? Oh, that's what you want for your mother? Oh, that's what you want for yourself? What does that house look like? How much does that house
Mhm.
cost? What are the
Mhm.
taxes? What's the upkeep? What's the area like? Do you know what that is? Take that
Mhm.
picture out, put it in your wallet, and bring that to life. Manifest your dreams, man. It's like one of the most important things I do is if I'm on to something, I know everything about it. I dissect it. I stay up days doing research, homework, and then I'm gonna know if I still like it after all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, damn, I just finished doing something like that. And I was planning something for my birthday, and I did like a month of research on it. And like yesterday, it just came back not the right thing for me to do, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Sometimes it's like that, man.
Mhm.
And like you said, comfort zone. Like there's a big zone outside the comfort zone for sure. Much bigger zone. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate you. I'm taking the time away from designing and from celebrating your birthday and all of the things in the Swizz Beatz universe. Definitely appreciate it. The students appreciate it. Of the culture. We appreciate you and all you keep contributing back to us, man. Thank you,
Anytime.
and happy birthday from all of the students
Thank you.
and from myself and from the
Zone,
culture,
zone,
man.
zone, zone.
And we see you on our versus tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All
All
right,
right, man.
bless up.
Peace.